told you last night is the most brilliant part of reverse flipping. The way you explain the product, because the product, the offer, is really addressing the market and the why these people need help. So an interesting thing when you were talking about maybe offer to close quicker or maybe offer no inspection, is you're addressing kind of the why of why the customer called you instead of just the price. And one of my first lessons in this industry was what's a lot of money to some people isn't a lot of money to others.
Agreed.
And we tend to start negotiating in $1,000 increments, $5,000 increments, $2,500 or $10,000 increments.
Yep.
And when you start thinking about that, these people, a lot of times on the other side of the table, $500 is a lot of money.
It's a big difference.
Like what we spent at lunch today is significant in many people's monthly budget.
Sure.
And I want to talk about that because that ingenuity, I think it all starts with kind of the why and understanding why these people are calling you, why these people are in the position they're in, why they need the help. And that, to me, I told you last night, is the most brilliant part of reverse flipping. The way you explain the product, because the product, the offer, is really addressing the market and the why these people need help or why these properties are in that position. So now is the time I want to talk about that, because to me, it's not just finding a strategy, it's understanding that strategy meets the customer's emotional needs, which then makes it highly absorbable by the market.
Yeah. Well, again, and I appreciate that. Like, we are not, I figured out a long time ago, we're not in the real estate business. We're in the people problem solving business. Real estate is the asset and it's the commodity, if you will, that we're dealing with. But that's not the problem that you're solving. So I think where a lot of people make mistakes is, why get you a better price? 9 out of 10 times, these sellers aren't calling you for price. They're calling you because it's embarrassing, which is an empathetic angle. 2, they have no other option because they can't list it because it's got a hole in the roof, for example, right? It's not financeable, right? So all these things. So and we used to do it too, right? I call it, the king of the dipshits, and Mark Evans always talks about that. But I was the king of the dipshits too. I'm like, well, ask them how old the roof is. I'm like, but they're in foreclosure and they have an auction coming up in a month and a half. You think they give a fuck about the roof right now? They don't care. They want to know that auction is going to be stopped, and do they have 30 days in the house, and is the sheriff going to yank them out?
Right.
That's the right conversation, which has nothing to do with price. That has to do with, I can solve your problem. Here's how it's going to look, and you trust me enough because I've given you enough confidence to assure you that I'm going to be the guy that's going to get it done.
Right.
So I think that's very important, and a lot of people miss the boat on that. It makes no sense, if we were talking about it, right? It makes no sense that we're picking up houses for $1,000 for the deed, not a contract. $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. But that seller's situation, problem, bad, time in their life is so big that that's where it's come to, right? Maybe the deal doesn't have equity, but you figure it out on the back end, right? Which is really the premise of reverse flipping and why it is.
Listen, this is the first time I've met you, obviously.
Yeah.
But maybe not so obvious to the audience.
Yeah.
One thing is cool and is, I've been in this world for a long time. I first got into it 2003-ish, 4-ish with your buddy. we won't go down that rabbit hole. Yeah. And then I came back into it in 2012 with Tim.
Yeah.
But for you to be able to speak at the level of what you're speaking about, and again, like 6, 7, 8 years, whatever that years, 7 years, is a long time, but it's really not. Yeah. Because there's so many people in this business that have been doing it for 10 years, but they don't have that many at-bats. They don't have that much experience in it. Yeah. They're real estate investors, but it's more like a hobby. So I really appreciate having a conversation where it's like, the professionality that you have in it, and then just the knowledge base, it's refreshing.
Thank you.
And again, I understand 7 years is a long time, but it doesn't feel like it is.
Well, one of the things
does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. We talked about it last night too. I was sharing with him that the way Ternus came about was I re-listened to the Start With Why book by Simon Sinek.
I'm actually listening to it right now because of all of it. It comes up at least once a
Well,
month.
he shared that he re-listened to or reread it again this year as well.
Yeah.
And really what he's talking about these customers and why they're calling you is the core thing that you can learn from that book to learn to focus on as a business owner of any business. Nike. Have you ever seen a Nike commercial where they advertise the price?
Right.
No.
Have you ever seen an Apple commercial where they advertise the price? AT&T will advertise the Apple price, but Apple never advertises the price. Coke, you never see a Coke commercial where it's like, and for 99 cents, you can taste the real thing. No, they tell you this is the real thing.
I agree.
Nike says, just do it, which is a running shoe company built out of, it's cold and rainy in Seattle and you're a runner, so just do it and wear our shoes.
That's right.
Right? It doesn't say they're the best shoes. It doesn't say they're the most comfortable shoes. It doesn't say here's the price. It says just do it. And Apple, these things, the iPhone 16 just came out and I'm about to buy it. I don't know what they cost.
Yeah.
And I've already decided I'm going to buy it.
Right.
And I know that the one I pick will be the most expensive version of it. It will be the whatever they have now, 9 cameras or something on the back, and like
16 Pro, or
72 gigabytes or terabytes of
crazy.
something or another. But we do it because it's what we need or emotionally want or we crave. But that's the thing that you just said that's so important. No matter what the listener is selling or what their business is, connect to your customers' needs and desires on an emotional level, on a subconscious level.
Yeah.
Really take the time to understand them, and then you'll make more money than you can handle.
Yeah, going back to what you said, it's always been very important to me. Even when I got into it almost 8 years ago, which is not a long time. It feels like it feels like a long time. But I'm 33, right? I got into it at 25. I was at Merrill before that, doing something completely different. But I heard a podcast, and it was the first thing I ran at. I cold called the guys. So I always took anyone that knows me. I always took any craft that I do extremely seriously. And I even told my mom when I first got involved, I was like, I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm going to become the fucking best at it. Because I just really meant that, and I still mean it till this day. Like what you said when you're like, I don't know, it's 7 years to talk at this level. Like, dude, I've paid attorneys at this point and CPAs and stuff millions of dollars over the years, mentors and coaching and masterminds that we're part of, right? Like 50 grand a year, 60 grand a year, whatever it is, because I just always wanted to be the best. Not so I do the most amount of deals. No, it's because I can handle and I can teach my team how to handle the most amount of problems. And I can understand it from a granular level. And I wanted to understand, and I don't need to be an expert at everything, but I certainly, and I told my girlfriend today, I was like, I'm not an expert at shit, but I am an expert at finding experts. That's for sure. And I think that's where the best business people that I've ever seen, mentors of mine, 9-figure guys, 10-figure guys, that's where they nailed it.